Hello everybody, this is my video number 40. Well, as you can see, my native language is French, therefore I will try to speak the best English I can. And something else, I am not a professional translator, but I produce the best translation of my French text than I can with a translator. And something else, I have to follow a text so that I don't forget important details, and in this way I produce the best video I can. And for those who find my video without going through my website, let me introduce myself. My name as a self-taught and multidisciplinary scientist is Gilles Lauzon-Urtubise, and I am the owner of the First Human multiintelligence.com site, which is on your left side here. So, as you know, the title of the video is Fusion of Carbon, Oxygen, Magnesium, or Neon does not exist. Well, what it said on a French-speaking Wikipedia, then from a text that I translate, carbon fusion, often called more ambiguously carbon combustion, is a set of nuclear fusion reactions occurring in stars of at least 5 solar mass at their formation, which at their core have converted in carbon all their lighter elements. These reactions takes place at a temperature of at least 600 megakelvin, while the density of the gases reaches 2 multiplied by 10 exponent 8 per cubic meter. These reactions led to the accumulation of oxygen, magnesium, and especially neon in the earth of the star. When they are completed, the star contracts under the effect of the drop in radiation pressure generated until then by nuclear fusion reaction. Stars of less than 8 solar mass eject their outer layers in the form of a powerful stellar wind, revealing a white dwarf formed by the inert earth of the star, where the oxygen, magnesium, and neon from the reaction have accumulated. Carbon fusion. Star with more than 8 solar mass contract until the pressure and the temperature at the star's core reach value allowing neon to merge. Otherwise, all these fusion of carbon, oxygen, magnesium, or neons are completely wrong, for multitude of reasons, and among others for the following reason. Number one, first, nuclear fusion does not exist in nature and it cannot be artificially reproduced. Second, because it would remove all hydrogen atoms with the eventual and ultimate consequences of eliminating all life. And the universe is made to allow life to be able to form very slowly and everywhere from the moment it meets favorable conditions, which eventually and ultimately allow it to begin to develop from the formation of the first molecule. And third, for many other reasons which I will disclose after filing my first patent for my first extraordinary spaceship of the first generation, and maybe after my third pattern for my third extraordinary spaceship of a third generation. On the other hand, and with regard to the fusion of deuterium according to the text portion of French-speaking Wikipedia, deuterium fusion is a nuclear fusion reaction that takes place in star and substellar objects in which a deuterium and a proton combine to form helium-3. So this reaction is the second step in the process proton-proton chain, in which a deuterium nucleus formed from two protons fused with a third, but can also occur from primordial deuterium. Well, however, I did not have enough time to study it, so I am not in a position to disclose my final opinion on the deuterium fusion. However, I totally disagree with the term primordial deuterium because the expression of primordial deuterium cannot exist given that the Big Bang never happened, and that in principle nuclear fusion cannot exist in nature or cannot be produced for a number of reasons which I will reveal after filing my first patent and perhaps my third patent. Moreover, and according to my results of my self-studies, which are largely in astrophysics and a little in chemistry of only 5 years and 8 months, and during which I have managed to invent and or produce between 50 and 100 or more theories in astrophysics, these studies have led me to invent and or produce a sufficient quantity of theories to successfully decode the functioning of the universe on a macroscopic scale, and to successfully explain the origin of all objects, as well as how they formed, how they function, and the circumstances or conditions that led to one or the other of the different possible deaths, but that I will reveal only after my filing my patent, my first patent or third patent. Something else. On the other hand, my imposing mother theory of how the universe works on a macroscopic scale, it must have somewhere between 3,000 and 6,000 or more of page like this of document, and with that small characters then. Something else. As far as I am concerned, there is no way that my extremely high physical logical mind could be bothered or fooled by any branches of mathematics like gravitational singularity, which it doesn't exist at all. And among of my theory, which is between 50 and 100 theories or more of my imposing mother theory of how the universe works on a macroscopic scale, there is none that has any connection to depends on mathematics. And about the same theories, there are none of these that can be characterized as one or more accommodating magical thoughts form. So, because my extremely high physical logical mind, it originates from an insatiable curiosity about nature that started from an age of only 5 or 6 years old or before and until now. So from a very early age, I found myself assimilating a considerable amount of nature experience and relationship between physical cause to physical effect, to understand much as I can at that time how the natures work. So by a pretty low age, I starting by observing the nature of soils, rivers, insects, small animals, and all the things in the nature that takes too long to list, because I have a great chance to be born on a farm and in a country. So where they have at the ends of the lands of the farm a bush, and in the back of our house a large river. So every morning when it's possible at 5 years old or before, or around 5 years old, I'm going to the river to see if I can surprise a fish or any other small animals in the nature, and frogs. So yes, all animals as possible. So and this is so great for me then. So for several decades after this, I have managed to accumulate a considerable amount of nature experience and relationship between physical cause to physical effect in my biological hard drive, which is my brain. Then, because this is extremely useful afterwards to be able to differentiate the possible thing from the impossible things. And among other things, never to be trapped by all kinds of magical thoughts or other form of magical thinking, which have nothing in common with physical reality. And thanks to my extremely high intellectual capacity in deep investigation, in deep reflection, in very deep analysis of all kinds, and about my limitless inventiveness of all kinds, and many other forms of very important intelligence which I use to practice all the time. So all of these things, this allowed to me to be the first and only in history to be able to decode how the universe works on a macroscopic in an extreme short times of only 5 years and 8 months, whereas every other astrophysicist or planetologist before me has been unable to do so for the past 200 years and more. Currently, my 50 and 100 theories or more of my imposing modern theory of how the universe works on a macroscopic scale give me a level of satisfaction that is somewhere between 96% and 98.5%. And I will never be completely satisfied until I achieve 100% satisfaction. And that's the reasons I like to take at least 3 or 4 extremely complex files or more at a time, who are currently, number 1, my imposing modern theory, which I want to bring at 100% satisfaction. Number 2, my paper pattern, which have between 300 and 350 pages for my extraordinary spaceship. So I need to find the funding, because I want to finalize the best possible pattern and until it can be protected at 100%. So with expert in paper pattern then. So yeah, so this is a further evidence like the fusion of carbon and all the other elements, then of a complete misunderstanding of how the universe works on a macroscopic scale on the part of all other astrophysicists before me. So, of course, I succeed to decode the functioning of the universe, so I know particularly then all immense difficulty and complexity to overcome for all the other astrophysicists before me. Then just they can begin to decode little by little how all the objects in the universe work. And and I know they didn't accomplish this huge work. So, but if they did, by hypothesis, if they did, they after this, they are to then to be able to start forming different theories until they become satisfactory and agree with each other. And after this other level of pretty high difficulty and works, and then to be able to start producing a sufficient quantity of theories that can all be complementary until they manage to explain how the universe works from A to Z, or almost until proven otherwise, so as to achieve the same level of explanation as all of my theories of my imposing mother theory of how the universe works on a macroscopic scale. So for me, of course, it is very easy to understand why no one before me had any chance to achieve such an intellectual feat, like my mother theory, my imposing mother theory, and all of my other works. So, something else. And of all of my theories that go into my imposing mother theory of how the universe works on macroscopic scale, there are none of them that can be called a theory of one or more accommodating magical thought or any other kind of magical thinking, because all of my theories are based on one or more relationship of physical cause to physical effect and nothing else. On the other hand, if it's happened in the near future that I come to realize that one of my theories is no longer acceptable, I will change it fast as I can. But is it possible that any of my theories could be completely wrong? No, I don't think so. But in the worst possible case, I will just have to make one or a few slight modifications to it. In conclusion of this text, my intellectual humanitarian ambition and my responsibility as a multidisciplinary and self-taught scientist and humanist is to advance the knowledge of the universe. Plus, it's to produce or form a protective website which is used to protect all members of the society. So a section of this is a dating site which is working with system tools for all members, all users of the dating site. Because this system tools protect all people they want to meet another person then. So in this dating site they have some tools to a lot of system tools. They help people to become a better person, and they help to protecting her against another person they want to meet. And plus another section which is used to protect the environment, because it regroups all new ideas of all new and best ideas around the world, which it's used to furnish the best practice of life or behavior to protect as much as possible the environment, because our planet is the only house as we had, and of course, so it's regroup all the new ideas from all around the world, but with the name of the person they produce it. So this is not only my new ideas, but all the best ideas from all over the world. So in this section, another section which is used to protect the animal, because by protecting them we are also protecting us. And another section, well, a lot of system tools which help person to become a better person, but which is used to promote the peace in public and at every level of the society. So, and another section which is used to explain from A to Z why democracy is so important then, and why we should do all as we can to protect democracy, because it's protecting the futures of the humanity and the futures of our kids. So, and something else, the term impossible is a term for me that I will never respect, and as long as I am sufficiently in good physical, intellectual, and mental condition. Something else, I need help to start forming a small research center in astrophysics, physics, particle physics, chemistry, biology, and medicine in a form of PPP. So for those who do not know the term PPP, it means public and private partnership. Because thereafter I intend to buy back the government investment and ultimately becomes the sole owner of the research center and all of my company, because the money for me it's important, but it's only important than the way it's helped me to buy new tools, to employ person, for produce the much good things as possible in the world, and all in the way to protect the future of the humanity and our child. So that's only why the money is so important, to makes me produce much as I can then. So about the research center, I need a slow start that will allow me, I hope, to be able to stay in control of the investment until I can become independent enough to buy it out. So the start of my research center must begin with hiring a science writer and a volunteer group of students and one or more science professor who would serve as my review committee to correct images when it's necessary, and finalize all of my scientific articles with a pretty good scientific writer. Well, for me, I'm not interested to become the best writer, because it's a lot of work, and because they have a lots of good person they can do this. So the only important things to me it's to invent much as I can, and to investigate the best way I can to produce much ideas, much good thing as possible. So that's why I configure my mind, my brain in this way. Then, so then adjust and finalize all of my article, of my scientific article, until they are as perfect as possible, and according my way of thinking about all of those scientific articles. So that the participant of the student and professor, they will serve as training towards new notion of astrophysics, which aim to correct false notion of astrophysics. And in many other cases where there is currently no astrophysical explanation for this or that phenomenon of how the universe on a macroscopic scale. In addition, and if possible, I intend to form a scientific journal in my name, because apart from most of the measurements that are made from Earth's powerful telescope, relative to approximate volume of object or other rough measurement, then I accept, because they are made with the best tools that we have, and by pretty good scientists, professional scientists. So I don't care. I'm sure the work they did it's very good. So that's why I accept their work. But in other side, most of the theories produced to try to explain partially the functioning of the universe on a macroscopic scale, I'm sorry, but most of them are erroneous or not existent in many cases. So, because from my side, I succeed to produce a huge wall of little bricks, which are all theories that fit into my imposing modern theory of the universe on a macroscopic scale, and which all of those theories are used to explain from A to Z, or almost, the origin of all the objects of the universe, as well as their mode of formation, their mode of functioning, the circumstances or conditions which led to one or the other different possible deaths, and many other things specific to each type of objects, but that I will reveal only after filing my first patent and maybe my third patent, so we'll see. On the other hand, and about a year after the start of my self-taught study in astrophysics and a little bit in chemistry, which I began in early February 2014, so a year later, it's about February 2015, when I invent, without realizing it at the time, but the day after, an exceptional first-generation device that is capable of producing my first gravitational technology. Well, from that point on, I found it extremely fortunate that I had to continue working alone because of the pattern that I had to continue to keep in secret. Because we never know when you speak when you feel emotive, you can say some things that you should not say. So that's why at that time it was a lot better for me to work alone for the last 6 years and 2 months. But now that is no longer the case, because I have completed all the parts that contains my invention in astrophysics, and my invention is physical mechanics. Then I put in my paper patents, which is about 300 and 350 pages, for the construction of my extraordinary spaceship of the first generation, as well as those of my exceptional first generation device, which is capable of producing my first three gravitational technology, which I invent after the first one. So in the meantime, it may be possible for me to decide to patent my extraordinary third generation device, which is capable of producing the 10 extraterrestrial gravitational technology for my extraordinary spaceship of the third generation. So because when I discover and study the extraterrestrial gravitational technology by film, I invent 1 or 2 weeks ago my third generation device. So that's why, well, we'll see what I'm gonna decide in the near future about my third patent. So, and to conclude, if I had been able to work for the last 6 years and 2 months with collaborators from a research center, of course I would have invented and or produced a lot more new things, new theories, or new inventions. So, well, thank you to see my video, and welcome to see my next video, which will reveal my opinion on another pretty complex subjects of the universe. So thank you, goodbye.